it's really important. Hygiene is really important to me, and having a clean bathroom really helps me to start my day right and end my day well. So it's important if we could get in a system where we are accountable to cleaning the bathroom and cleaning the room. Or, if someone is coming in at a late hour and you're a light sleeper, you can say, I'm a really light sleeper. It would be helpful if we knew what time each other may expect to come home, so that we can at least be aware that our sleep might be disturbed at this time or not, just so that you're conscious of creating these transparent ways of speaking to one another. It's really, really important to feel empowered to do that, because you're in a shared space that is partially yours and partially theirs. But you have to do it with kindness as well as compassion. And so I think really reaching out and introducing yourself to whoever you're roomed, whether that's your randomized room assortment, or you actively choose a roommate, then you have a little bit more agency to be like, these are the things I like. Do they suit you? Do they not suit you? And don't feel bad about saying maybe we aren't compatible as roommates, and not choosing someone who has a totally opposite, lifestyle than you. It's really important to sort of match lifestyles when it comes to roommates. Yeah, Heather.
I mean, what you're talking about, Satanji, all goes to being prepared, having a plan, doing your homework. I mean, you're talking at a very next level space, which you can't do any of what you're talking about if you're still stuck in the well, have I even visited the school?
Mm-hmm.
Do I know for sure that I even want to go there? So long before you can do what you just said, which you should be doing, because college is where you eat, where you sleep, where you breathe. You don't get a break from college. I mean, I say this all the time to students. Your parents go to work, then they get to go home. But college is your work, and it's your home, and it's your everything. So if you have a roommate and your lives don't mesh, or they like to party till 2 a.m. and you like to go to sleep at 9 p.m., those are things you would want to know. And the only way you're going to really know any of that is if you have done your homework around a lot of the other things we talked about, so then you can take the time to be able to focus on the roommate issue. But if you're still in the realm of I'm not even sure if I definitely want to go to this school, or I'm still scrambling to even maybe late apply to places or so forth, then you're never going to be able to do the kind of intricate, important work that Satanji's talking about. And that's why it's critical to be able to get some of these things in place long before you would even be doing this.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not very clear what college to commit to. And like Heather said, if there are, certain, maybe you haven't actually committed to it, even though it's one day, 24 hours till the deadline for most schools to commit. It's important to really just use time to reflect on, what do I want out of this? How can I get more information on the school before I make this choice? What are the burning questions that are hindering my final choice in making this next step? Is it the financial part of it? Have I not asked all the questions that I wanted to of my family in terms of how much they're willing to support, or of the university and how much they're willing to give? I know I, watch lots of YouTube videos about people, sometimes in grad students and sometimes undergrad, where if you're really excited and eager to commit to a school, but you're nervous about doing so because of the money, it's worth sending that final email to the financial aid office and explaining your situation, being like, hey, I got the package. I'm so excited about the school. I've been accepted. My hesitation, though, still relies on the financial commitment that this would have on my family and on myself for the next 4 years and beyond if I did commit to this university because of XYZ reasons. I'm wondering if there's any other opportunities, both scholarship, grants, financial aid, loans through the school with lower interest that can be afforded to me so that I can commit to this university. Those are important things to ask of the school, to make sure that they know where you stand, how important it is for you to go to this school, but what is the hesitation? I see Mateo in the chat goes, for me, I
That's a
still have,
very
yeah. I still haven't committed to a college because I don't know what I want. I don't know if it's more beneficial to live away from home and have to pay for dorming, or stay in New York City and maintain the social ties I have here. I don't know how big a college I want because I'm unsure of my major. So I think it's important to have a lot of choice and variability. There are just so many factors and variables that are hard to take into account. Yeah, Mateo, that is a real scenario.
a lot.
It's a
That's
real,
Mateo put in one comment like everything we've just been talking about.
yeah, that's the reality of it.
Yes, it is.
It's the uncertainty that comes with all of what a school has to offer and what you are looking for. And I want to ensure, reinforce that at the end of the day, we're all making hopefully hypothetical best assessments of what is a school that will fit me, what school will I thrive in, and what school will support me and my success the best. But you're never going to know for sure. You're never going to know what what you chose, what you left behind. There's that opportunity cost, right? When you choose one opportunity, there's a cost in what you've left behind on the table. And that's life. It really is. It's in high school, I chose to go to a smaller school that offered me a lot of more one-on-one attention, but I didn't have the extracurriculars or all the other things that I was excited to do and be enriched by. That's the opportunity cost. I still made it to a great university. Maybe I would have made it this as well if I had gone to another high school on Staten Island, but or maybe I wouldn't have, because it would have been too large and I would have just been one in the crowd and not been able to get that one-on-one guidance. I don't know. No one really knows, but you have to sort of assess, take that time, really, break down your statement that you said here. You said, I don't know what I want because I don't know if it's more beneficial to live away from home and have to pay for dorming, or stay in New York City and maintain the social ties. With both, you're not necessarily giving, with dorming, you're not giving away your social ties that you have there in New York City, because you'll be back home for summers. You'll have times to see family, maybe maintain internships or things that you already had before that, continue summer jobs that you had throughout your school year. So it's not really a loss of social ties if you do the work and are conscious of maintaining those things even while you're away. But like you said, the payment part is the part of the dorming that you maybe get, that is a consideration, right? Now that's an added cost versus having stayed in your family's home or maybe more local and had a lower cost. But now that's the benefit of, do I know how to now live independently for the next 4 years? What are those life skills I'm going to build? Well, who are these new people that I'm going to meet that are outside of my social circle that are going to enrich my life because they're from these parts of the world, this part of the country, this part of the state, and how they will feed new information into me and new experiences. So if you're conscious of and excited about the idea, lean into what you're excited about. Start with that versus what you're nervous about. So you're excited about living away because of XYZ. How can you facilitate that without losing the things that you're nervous about? And so I think that just remember that even when you do, I went away to college, I dormed away on campus, as that was required of my school. And it did come at a cost as room and board, but I gained a roommate and best friend that lives in Jamaica that I could go visit whenever I wanted to in the future, and now have somewhere to stay there. I have a social network now of people who are across the country, and they are in different industries and different sectors of the world, sectors of the job and the career space, that I now have more insight into what different job opportunities are, even after the major that I've chosen. So there's a pros and the cons, I don't think that there's any one wrong decision. And if you're staying home, there's still that element of, how do I enhance my level of independence while living at home? How do I create new boundaries with my family so that I do feel empowered to stay home and save money, but still begin to live a more independent life as a college student? So if you think you can balance either or, lean into those, whatever one makes you feel more excited about an opportunity. And again, knowing that one way or another, you can flip flop. You can say, okay, I'll stay home for year one and then hope to transition and plan and eager, and be forceful and assertive about transitioning and live off campus in a year, or I'll, live on campus. And if it doesn't work for me, and if I don't feel like the investment is worth it, I can come back to New York City and live at home. There's no commitment that binds you for 4 years to go to any school or participate in anything. You don't know how big of a college you want. That is a challenge. That's part of what Heather and I talked about in terms of visiting. The importance of visiting these college campuses and seeing them in person is invaluable. It's really hard to conceptualize what it looks like, even if you're coming from New York City with millions of people, how a campus operates when it has 6,000 to 10,000 students versus a campus that has 500 to 1,500 students versus a campus of 20,000 students. Like, it's really hard to conceptualize what it looks like to live on there and how comfortable you'll feel until you do that. So Mateo, if there's any opportunity for you to still go and visit a campus, even locally, taking a train, taking an Uber, having a family member or friend drive you, if you have your own license, going to visit a campus just for a day, an afternoon, it would be good to know when you have to make your decisions by, because again, we are under the impression that a lot of students are required to make it by tomorrow. But if that's not your case, then what's the timeline you have to sort of see more, to inform yourself? Let's not get stuck in the fear, and let's try and inform ourselves about how to make a more confident decision. And for me, yeah, I was unsure of what major I wanted as well. So I think you're in the bigger boat and more of a majority than the students who say they really do know specifically what they want to do, which is why I chose a liberal arts school. And I think that's the beauty of liberal arts, is that there are a variety of majors that you can choose from under that umbrella that really even, sometimes are so vague that you can begin to specify them as you get deeper into the study. I studied public policy. That's a very broad topic. You can take it into a variety of sectors. It can be public policy in government, in public policy in the private sector, now that a lot of private sector tech companies and different companies need that policy aspect under their organizations. It could be public policy in the nonprofit sector. It could be running for office. Such a wide and very and all-encompassing major, but a way that as you learn more about yourself and what you're interested in, you can specify and tailor that, and then do post-grad programs or certificates, or read more and learn about stuff in a different way, do internships. So you probably know more about what you actually are interested in than you think, and lean into that, go with that, and then know you're not committing oftentimes to a major until your sophomore year, end of sophomore year. So rule out the things you don't like that, be confident in that. At some point, you got to say, I'm not studying biology, cross it out. So that it doesn't matter if the school offers that or not. But I would like it if the school offered marketing, in case I do want to study marketing because it sounds interesting to me. So then maybe you make sure that the school you choose has the option, so that by year 2, you're able to make a choice and have it there and not have to worry about transferring. Yeah, there's a lot of choice. There's a lot of variety. There's a lot of variables that are to consider when it comes to choosing a school. Vanessa, while you're here, maybe it's helpful to know what you considered and what helped you make a firm decision between Pace versus Hunter versus University of Buffalo, because that might, help inform the people who we're talking to, as well as Mateo, on how to make that confident decision, how to make that decision about what school is really right for you. So if you want to come off mute, or if you want to put in the chat, we're open to having your insights as well about how you made that final decision.
And one thing I just want to add to Mateo's multi-layered inquiry is, a lot of this is subjective. So you say, I don't know if it's more beneficial to live away from home or have to pay for dorming or stay in New York City, right? So, but for you, away from home might mean California. For somebody else, away from home might be around the corner, right? So, some of the I would actually say most of these things are subjective. When you say something like, I don't know how big of a college I want because I'm unsure of my major. I went to Princeton University and my graduating class was 1,100 people. Now, my high school graduating class was 37 people. So to me, Princeton was like kind of big. I was like, oh, kind of a big school. The the vast majority of humanity that has gone through a college would never consider a graduating class with like 1,190 people a big school. That's not how anybody's going to see that. Okay, big is like the Ohio State, it's like 50,000 people, right? But it's subjective. So these are the things you have to start asking yourself. And the other thing I will say, and I don't think students think about this a lot, but they should, is damn. Yeah, so your graduating class, Mateo. We're just chuckling because Mateo made a funny comment in the here in the chat about how his graduating class is 1,600. Right. So your graduating class from high school is like a third bigger than my graduating class was from college. So that's what I'm saying. So for you, if your graduating class is 1,600 people, then going to a college with 1,200 people in your graduating class might be like enjoyable for you. Might be like, oh, this is like it's like a tiny school for me. So these things are all subjective, but
yeah.
I'm just told you can't really make any of these decisions in a vacuum. And like knowing what a school that has 1,200 people versus 50,000 people is gonna be like, it you really got to visit. You got to visit. Talk to us.
Sorry,
I don't know
Heather.
if
I
you can
think
come off mute.
we lost you on that. Like you said, you really have to visit. Yeah, I agree. It's
Yeah, you got
just
to visit.
it's
I
really
wasn't sure
hard. It's really hard to otherwise get, a real feel for what does that mean? Like even also how many students are commuting versus live on campus. Like if you're in a school that's in between. So campus might feel different than just what the size says online. Vanessa, I think, she wrote in the chat about how she chose PACE. She said for her, I chose PACE because unlike the other two colleges, their nursing major was direct admit. So for her, again, knowing confidently that nursing was what she was interested in, going in and exploring and studying, that was an important factor to make sure that first things first, that the school that she got, she was able to study that specific program. And it being more direct admit, that's a great way to approach it. And she said one factor that the other two schools, which were the University of Buffalo and Hunter, had that PACE didn't was the size. PACE, the one in the suburbs, is much smaller, and I didn't really like that. But when I went to see the school, I realized it wouldn't be bad for a change of scenery. Look at that. Like what you assumed maybe wasn't a fit for you in terms of the size was totally sort of reassessed based on your visit, which is why, Mateo, I think it just speaks to the importance of that in-person connection to the school, in-person visit, in-person feel, because it can really be skewed by what you assume, what you think, because a lot of us have not spent that much time on a campus before having to actually go to college. Like I went to visit my brother once at Binghamton University. I think I had gone to one college graduation at Harvard for a family member and had been to CSI College because of my college now courses. Those are really the scope of my variety of what school campus looked like. All very different universities, but I wasn't even in the mindset to assess like what would I like when I'm there. So I appreciate you, Vanessa, for sort of kind of sharing that even when the school didn't have what you thought you needed or wanted in a school, you were able to sort of come to some sort of compromise with yourself about how it wouldn't be bad for the change of scenery, even though the school size wasn't what you would hope for. And that's part of this, I think sometimes we approach this hoping to find the perfect fit, the perfect match. We watch too many of these shows nowadays, like The Bachelor or Love is Blind, or any of these other any of these other reality TV shows that, they try and sort of paint the picture that they're is 100% match out there for any sort of thing in life. And really, that is not always true. Those who do find that are the very lucky few. And sometimes it's actually better to lean into what is that 75 to 80% match that is really the fit that matters the most, the factors that are really of importance, whether that's the academic, rigor that you're going to get, whether that's the social experience you're looking for, because they have theater, because they have parties, because they have, extracurriculars. What is those things that are really going to facilitate you being happy on campus? And what does the support look like? What, do they have counseling? Do they have tutoring? Do they ensure that there are office hours? Those are the things that really are going to create a successful transition into college in a way that size of the school may not be as big of a factor once you actually get to the campus and those other things are there for you, or the the elements of the way the dorm looks. It has all the things that you need, and it's not as fancy as maybe the other school does. It doesn't have the glitz and the glam or the game room, but you realize, would I even use that space as much, or is it just nice to say that we have that? You kind of have to wrap your mind around what are the essentials and how well does the school provide that. And that's really the important part, to really just assess, like, what is that? How do I make the 75%, the 80% good decision versus trying to get to 100%? Reading Mateo's comment, I feel like no matter how educated and informed my decision is, I will be filled with lots of regret and wish to go to other schools and the people I know go to. I feel like I'll only really see positives in other places and negatives in where I go. How could I deal with this? How easy is it to transfer schools?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so right off the bat, and Tanya, I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Mateo, I'm gonna quadruple down on what we're saying, my friend. You have got to go and seriously visit these schools. So the way I decided on Princeton, I'll tell you my story. It's really quick. I'm one of a set of triplets, and my sisters were going to go to college in the same year as me, but we all knew we wanted to go to separate colleges. So it was imperative for me. I had an extra incentive to figure out where I wanted to go to school, because I knew I wasn't going to school with my sisters, right? So we all visited like all the schools we were applying to. Some of them were the same, some were different. And when I hit Princeton's campus, I'll never forget it. I remember seeing this guy. I think Satanji's heard me tell the story before. This guy was walking along campus, and his hair was like blowing in the breeze, and he had on this like Princeton scarf, and he was just like smiling and walking. And it was like it was a football day. It was a Saturday, which I don't always recommend going on the weekend, but I'm glad I went this weekend because it was like a big rah day. And I remember seeing this guy, and I just said to myself, I want to be that guy. I want to be smiling, walking across campus with my hair blowing in the breeze, like just happy and excited, right? And then I visited again and again. I mean, I visited Princeton specifically probably 3 times. By the time I actually stepped on that campus, I knew so much about it that I wasn't going to have any regret, because I had compared it to other schools, I had gone to other campuses. But I really felt like it was my school. Now, as to, could you see another school and then think to yourself, I wish I had gone there instead? Well, maybe, but the way I see school is the way I see relationships, right? There could always be somebody else that you should be in a friendship with or something, but the commitment to the friend or to the school or to the job, that is what potentially is special to you. That you commit to it and you say, this is my school and I love it and I'm going to make the most out of it. And then you make it your own. So yeah, the grass is always greener, and it's always sunnier on the other side and all of that. That is possible. But I think the only way you're going to really love a school is if you make it your own. And if you say, this is my school and this is where I'm going, it's not going to do it for you. You got to find the clubs and find the people and find the experiences. And once you do that, then you will love it and you won't want to go anywhere else. So Tanji, I'm super curious what you have to say.
Yeah, I think this is, an interesting take on FOMO, because I don't think I've ever really thought about it in the way of like, choosing a university and having that fear of missing out on what other people are
Right.
experiencing and what other
Yeah.
people are going through. But like Heather said, right, this is about reinforcing in yourself that what your choice you're making based on what you've done, what you've experienced, what you've seen, and try and committing to
Yep.
them, putting your mindset towards knowing that this is the right fit for me, that another school will offer different things that will offer me different joys, but also different challenges. And so that's not the importance to focus on that, but to focus on where you are, what you're getting out of that experience, what you're putting into that experience,
Yep.
and then finding the things that make you so happy about being there that you won't be worried about like you won't have the capacity to worry about other
No.
things you're missing
Yeah.
out.
You're
You're going
busy.
to be in campus, you're trying to get accustomed to the school, and maybe it
Yeah.
is uncomfortable in the beginning. Maybe you're like, why did I make this decision to be away from
Right.
home? That I'm not saying you won't experience that, right? I like
Yeah.
left home, my parents drove away. I'm like, wait, they're gone? Like, when do I
Yes.
see them next? Like, this
Yes.
is August. I'm not going home
Yeah.
till November for Thanksgiving. That is why it's important. Like I said, even when when we were talking with Vanessa about about dorming, picking a right roommate, like off the bat, like feeling at home with the person
Yeah.
that you're living with can change your whole perspective and be like, wow, okay, I feel comfortable with this person. They're funny, they laugh, they like the same music I do. We're already planning for doing different things together on campus. Like, your mindset is no longer worried about, wow, where am I not? Or why am I not at home? Or what, this is uncomfortable, but this is exciting. This is a new person. This is a new
Yep.
space. I get to be a new, a better new version of yourself.
Yep.
And you have to kind of commit to that mindset,
Yep.
because regret can follow you and, sort of taint a picture that really could be a beautiful thing. And that could be with
Yeah.
anything that we're talking about. These are lessons in learning for life. Even like the whole college experience, the whole college application process is all about life lessons. It's about, it's time management, it's, networking, it's asking for people to give you feedback, it is writing and knowing about yourself and your interests. Like, all of those things are threaded into the entire college application process. So when you get to the actual college experience, it's really about knowing yourself and putting your best foot forward. Mateo, I know you say you feel you really only see positive in other places and negatives where you go, but that is a part of, we sometimes reinforce the reality we want to believe about what we're experiencing. So sometimes we'll be like, my life is not as fun as that other person's, my life is not as exciting as that other person. And then on the other end, that person is looking at you thinking the same exact thing and like, oh, that person does these things, they're so great at that, I can't believe I like that is how human nature can work if we allow it to, versus reinforcing the great things about where we're at. And at the end of the day, like you said, like we've talked about, transferring schools is a means to an end if it was necessary because of specifics. The school program that you applied to is really not facilitating that, or the students you spent a year trying to make connections with, you're not connecting with that environment. That's all fair, but it's not going to just mean that the magic carpet is going to roll out on the other side. You still have to then reapply. That means doing your schoolwork to keep up good
Yep.
grades and trying to approach reapplying for
Yep.
a new university at the same time. That is a really challenging thing, which is why we're trying to get ahead of all of that extra work and extra lift and how do I best position myself to succeed in this place that I'm only here for 4 years. If we're really being honest with ourselves, 4 years,
Yes.
it seems like a big commitment,
Yes.
but it is really a blimp in the life experience, because you just continue and then you have to go find a job, and maybe that job is not the perfect one. Like, we're not always going to find perfection in the situations that we're in, but we're trying to use that information, be educated about it, and like you said, not and put our energy towards the positives, and sort of quiet down things that make us doubtful of our choices, We have to really reinforce ourselves to know that we're making the right decisions for ourselves because we have that information. You're making an informed decision. So you're going in feeling like, I know I'm putting my best foot forward in a space that I think is really the best for me. And that comes with everything. That comes with the classes, that comes with your social life, that comes with putting yourself out there, not overextending yourself, but putting yourself out there to really reap the benefits and the rewards of a good college experience because you're in the mindset of wanting that. That's how I would say about dealing with it. And that can be through counseling, that can be talking with friends, that can be journaling for yourself, just what you're feeling, and taking the gratitude with the challenges. Really centering gratitude above everything, literally throughout life, is so important. We can wake up and always be miserable. The sky is gray and I have so much work to do and I have a commitment that I don't really want to do and this and that. But we can also wake up and say, I'm so grateful I have another day to live and another day to do these things. And in between the stuff that are going to keep me busy and things that are tiring of me, I'm so grateful I get to, walk outside, enjoy a snack, FaceTime my family, watch an episode of something that makes me happy, go outside, find those things that plug in that remind you of gratitude versus just being sort of weighed down by the feelings of frustration or sadness or regret, because those are real human things to acknowledge and not to deny, but they are not always our full experience. They really are just a part of it. And so don't put too much weight on that if you can put more weight towards gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, everything Tatanji said. I mean, I'm so glad we're recording this because I just 2.0 of what she said. So that's the first thing. And again, the other thing I would say is colleges are organic and dynamic. A huge reason why colleges accept you is not just because you sit there like Play-Doh and they just mold you and you leave. Colleges accept students because they anticipate you're going to be the change maker. Mm-hmm. You're going to come in there and you're like do something. When I went to Princeton, they didn't have, I was classically trained in piano, and they didn't have a group for piano, violin, and viola. So I started one. I started a group for students that were interested in and we played in various venues around the campus. I did that, and it made my life incredible there. So, if the school doesn't have it, make it. If you don't see it, do it. If you don't love the experience on campus, do cool stuff off campus or most schools you're going to be able to find your people and find some bodies that you could be friends with. And so do cool stuff with them. So colleges are dynamic. I'm hard pressed to believe that you're going to end up at a college and you can't make your place and find your people and make your environment there. So if you feel like the school it's just a total bust, which you shouldn't think that because hopefully you did your homework. If it is, you make your experience the most amazing there. And as Tanya said, 4 years is not an insignificant amount of time. It is not forever. It's not forever. And so even if it's, not the greatest, graduate and you go have your fabulous life.
Yeah.
And I know we're at 2 minutes until we're done. I hope both Vanessa and Mateo, you come back next month. You are both in the running for our wonderful scholarships. So great job. You just got to attend 2 more of these. So
for Vanessa, 1 more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, keep up the good work. Please do come back. And I actually feel like Mateo I feel like Satanji on a future one of these, we should do a session just devoted to sort of like FOMO. FOMO of schools or, concern about not getting the best you can out of a place, or like, what if you do pick the wrong school? Like, what then? So I think it would be great for us to do a session on just that and focus on how you can make the most, because some people can pick the wrong school. It's not going to be a perfect match. But then what do you do with that? Work around that, and where do you go with that? So I think we should do a session on just that, and then it would actually be epic.
Yeah, well, definitely. Again, this is all about being dynamic in our conversation, not just talking about only the good and the like exciting parts of college, but the challenging ones and the things that are not always covered in your like typical college preparation discussions with your family or your schools. And Vanessa, if there's anything more deep, like any, specifics about, preparing for that transition to dorm that you want to talk about, any of those variables that we didn't really touch on, everything from safety to, how to ask the right questions about, just dorming. We can definitely talk about that as well more next time. So just think about that a little bit, about what are those really key things that maybe you're used to and you don't know how they'll show up in the space of dorming on your own or living independently. We're happy to keep talking about that. I think we had a really good conversation this time. Thank you both for being so active and in the chat and giving us your feedback on or in your thoughts on what helped you make these decisions or hasn't helped you make the decision just yet. You just have to remain confident that for most of your life of school, you probably just got placed in a school that was close to where you lived. Really, like, just like, oh, this is your designated school because you live in this neighborhood and you've made success to be here. And I know this is a bigger sort of commitment, but like Heather said, like we've talked about, it's really about what you make of it, because now you're in a space to have that agency to be able to like create the things that don't work for you, join the clubs that are really going to excite you, and study the things that really make you passionate. So I think we will definitely do a FOMO session. I see, because I feel like so many people, especially my age, have it. I definitely have it because I'm going to a small school in the suburbs. I don't want to look at other schools in the city and be jealous. Totally fair. I can speak on the pros and cons. I went to a school that was more in the suburbs. There are definitely some benefits of being in a school campus that facilitates things that students in the city is the city, and they're just operating as normal, versus a campus that kind of creates that environment for you to thrive there. So there's lots of pros and cons, or just different experiences that we can touch on and talk about. And I know FOMO, especially in the age of technology, where you can see your friends on Instagram and TikTok about what they're doing, how they're experiencing there, how it's packaged up on there, can impact how you feel about that. So maybe we'll definitely, we can incorporate that into our next conversation.
Let's definitely, we can title it whatever we have. FOMO part 1.
Yeah, because even our part of our conversation was, the college, preparing. We were going to talk about preparing the college list of schools and social media, but I think we'll highlight the FOMO part. So, and then wrap in the social media ties to that.
And also, I feel like if you do the college list well, you shouldn't have FOMO. Like, because you should be like very clear about what you want. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's perfect tie-in. Like FOMO, I think it's when you're like, I don't know what I want. Like that looks good. But if you're like, this is my list, I've ordered it, I prioritized it, then the FOMO should really go away. So it's a perfect tie-in.
Great. So we'll talk about that. And we appreciate both of you for your participation. We will see you next month. Mateo, I don't know if you're familiar, but we have a scholarship that if you attend 3 sessions with Health for Youths, and we can drop also the application for the scholarship in here and write up a short essay on the on your commitment to volunteering and community service and what that means to you, then you are eligible for this $750 scholarship. So hold on, let me type and get the link here. Ready to go, but here we are. Information on the scholarship is here. Let's see. Actually, I don't know if that's correct. Maybe I put the wrong one in there. Those are our sessions so that you know which one. And then, so there's some information on the scholarship and where the essay should be submitted. That's also there. And then there's an application form that's separate. Let's see, make sure I give you all of it. it's a short response essay, nothing too long. It's all on that website that I just dropped the link in there. So we'd love for you to apply and, show up and be eligible for this scholarship, because $750 can really help you keep you in high spirits as you enter your first year of college, help you buy that laptop or any of those things that really will enhance your first year experience. And we'd love
no
to.
FOMO with that.
No FOMO with that, right? That's the you will have something that will enhance your experience. So please let us know if there's anything you ever want to talk about, and we look forward to seeing you guys next month, which is on June 25th at 10:30.
Oh, wait. Are we in May yet? Do we have a May one?
Wow. It's May. May is next month. May 28th at 11:30. That is our next
May yet?
I know it's the same link in terms of the Zoom. So May 28th, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we will see you guys next month.
Definitely. Bye.